President, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, CMA Shri Singh Ji, Joint Secretary Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Shri Manoj Pandey Ji, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, a very good evening to all of you. Let me first extend the warm welcome to all the dignitaries who have traveled from various parts of the world to be part of this event. I'm happy to be present here at the Global Summit 2020, organized by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. We appreciate the efforts made by the Institute to recognize the role of CMA profession in the growth of Indian economy in form of these prestigious awards. The professional institutes of the country, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, in this case, need to be acknowledged for the work they are doing and from bringing out qualified professionals. The role of cost accountants in the country is often not spoken about and appreciated. But let me say this, I've spent more than close to 15 years in a manufacturing industry. And I can understand well when we have to compete at the global level or at the local level. The role of CA and CS come much later. The role of cost accountants are far more important than. And why I say this is because when I started, I was very young. I was just 20 years old, way back in 1994, to start a manufacturing unit and export it to countries like UK, Germany, and all that, where the standards are very high. And you have to be cost effective to compete with your Chinese counterpart or other countries. One of the senior industry leaders said, don't think about profits, growth of company at this stage, think about how cost effective you're going to be and how the quality of product is going to help you to have a mark in this industry. So I think the role of the cost accountant starts on the very first day. So I think India has the capability of producing world-class products at a reasonable cost by adopting the best quality and productivity practices prevailing in the country as linear programming, simulation techniques, program evaluation review technique, target costing, just-in-time method, Kaizen costing, and that is why your role is very, very important. But I also see here the use of technology can help you with the artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and various other new technologies coming. It can help you. It can throw challenges to your profession as well. Looking at the presentation made by Aishwarya, whereas when they started with coming out with the ecosystem where you're not dependent on your cars, moving out to the sharing of vehicles, then towards the e-vehicles, whereas the battery becomes more important. Now, for the last few days, we have the Council of Ministers meeting going on for the next 5 years agenda, what we have to do in this country. We look at every segment, every secretary comes and give presentation. What are they looking at the next 5 years or the next 20 years? How do we have to lay the foundations today? One challenge which we all of us see is the impact of climate change. You know, look at Australia today, or even India. And it is the same Australian leaders who used to say, what climate change? Does it really impact? Today you ask them, the Prime Minister cancelled the visit because not only they lost huge forest cover, but I think billions of animals died. What are we giving back to the society? Are we on the right track? Battery swapping is a good idea, But are we going to be dependent on the lithium and other things which have to be imported? Or are we going to look at the hydrogen and other options available with us? I think we should, in India, look at cutting down our import, whereas electronics are concerned, fossil fuels are concerned, or other things are concerned. It is very, very important. So I think we live in an age where we need to be worried about the impact of climate change and need to move to sustainable energy and conserve energy. And that could be one of the ideas of sharing the vehicles. That is one way. मैं जब बस में सफ़र करता था पिछले 10-12 साल, हर तीसरे दिन बस में बैठ के हिमाचल चले जाना, वहाँ से वापस आना, तो लोग हंसते थे कैसा एमपी है। एक टाइम पे तो मैं बीसीसीआई का प्रेसिडेंट था, one of the richest bodies in the world. My father was chief minister then. Even then I used to travel in a bus. And people used to say, करता क्या है, क्यों बस में आता है? I always thought that if I'm traveling alone, why should I take my car? It is better to go in a bus and save some fuel. I think all of us have to do something. It may be a small contribution. I was at ECMA function a couple of months back, and the OEM industry said there is a shortage of demand as far as the automobile industry is concerned. I'm glad you are not there. But the issue is, we have to look at the larger picture. What is happening globally, what is happening locally. So, to look at those challenges, I think it will take a lot of time. We will start speaking on that. But the whole idea is today, I'm here to talk about cost accountants and the $5 trillion economy. And I'm glad, Balvinderji, that you have picked the right theme, how to achieve $5 trillion economy mark by 2025. All I can say is, India is definitely going to achieve the target, and you are going to play a very, very important role in that. I have been the 4-time member of parliament. I've seen many governments in the past. The kind of dedication this Prime Minister have. You know, on third evening, we have meeting for 4 hours, looking at the next 5 years agenda. On fourth, from morning 10 o'clock till 7 p.m. Then again for the last 2 days from 6 o'clock to 9:30. And again before the budget session, we'll have 5 more sessions where the Prime Minister sits with all of us for 4 to 5 hours and discuss each and everything with the secretaries and the ministries and the ministers. And it's a, open house. You can give your suggestion, you can intervene and say this should be done. That's the way democracy works. And I think he has set the target. I haven't seen in the past any government fixing a target for the next 5 years. He has set the target for the entire country, for all of us, to achieve the $5 trillion economy mark. And we're going to do that. It's the team India, all of us, who have to do this. And I'm glad organizations like yours, who have helped the government in the past for the better implementation of the GST, for creating awareness about IBC and the success of the IBC to recover more than 4 lakh crore rupees. It was Dashmi, and we lived up to our commitment, and we launched it on the Vijayadashmi day. You know, you look at, many people said 6 months back that $5 trillion for India, how you can achieve it. Before 2014, we had $1.8 to $2 trillion economy, then added $1 trillion in just 5 years, in the last 5 years. We can do it. Look at 5 years back, how many people had the insurance cover? Today, 230 million people have the insurance cover under the Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. It may look like कि बीमा ही तो है, तो क्या है? You travel with me and go to those remote areas where people, you know, they work hard for 2 square meals a day. When they lose the bread earner or the earner of the family, they struggle. उस समय 2 लाख रुपए भी उनके लिए बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, जिन्होंने 12 रुपए सिर्फ जेब से दिए होते हैं. ये फर्क है. और यही नहीं, even Manrega from the day one, MG Narega, I used to say, there's a lot of corruption at the grassroots level. How do we stop that? Then eventually geotagging happened when Modi ji came. We opened the bank account, started that from the 2014. In just 3 years' time, we opened how many accounts? 370 million accounts, 37 करोड़ 70 लाख से ज़्यादा खाते केवल 3 सालों में खोल कर दिए. Now what is the advantage of that? When we do the DBT transfers, more than 500 government subsidies given or the benefits given to the poor are now transferred electronically. पहले बिचौलिए खाते थे, middlemen खाते थे. Today we have created a system through which we have saved more than 1.5 lakh crore rupees for the government of India with the use of technology, by opening bank accounts, by transferring those funds into the individual account. It doesn't need to wait for 1 month's time. It doesn't need for the middleman to take the commission out of it. It just goes directly into the bank accounts. So what I'm trying to say is, today you have accepted this theme. Now everyone has to work in that direction. At the government level, we are trying to work hard and help you with that. And I think the startups have done wonder. Some names have been taken by the previous speaker, from Flipkart, Byju to Snapdeal to Ola, Paytm and all that. There are no more startups, they have become unicorns, but there are thousands of them who draw inspiration from them and want to start something new, and come out with new ideas, become entrepreneurs. They had few issues as far as the taxation was concerned. We get away with so-called angel tax, we have removed that. Whether the long-term capital gain, we have given you the advantage of that, income tax exemption. Apart than the factory exemption and various other requirements of the startups, Prime Minister Modi from the day one, in his second tenure, he called me and Nirmala ji and said, look at the issues of startups and I want that to be resolved within 2 months' time. And that is how the Prime Minister looks at the startups, because they are going to generate the wealth for the country. At the same time, the existing units, we have taken few steps for them also. We have increased the MSME sector from 250 crore rupees, the cap to 400 crore rupees, cut down the income tax from 30% to 22% for them, and for the new companies coming into the manufacturing sector, will only be paying 15% tax. That is the historic corporate tax rate cut, which was done by none other than Prime Minister Modi. So at the government side, we are taking certain steps so that we can do that. From your side, we are also, looking at what you could do along with the costing the products or services. Budgetary control is equally important, if not more. The cost accountant must ensure that the difference in the budgets with the actual performance must be recognized and acted upon. And the budgetary control must also be looked upon from a behavioral aspect. And I think the efforts must be made to ensure that the cost is competitive and commensurate to the quality of the product. Under or overpricing a product will not have desired consequences of the company. And no matter how top of the shelf a product is manufactured, if the pricing is not right with the target audience, it will not be a success. And there is a very thin line between a product succeeding and failing at the market, and hence effective and efficient costing is significant. Any good cost accounting system is the one that lets the end user bifurcate and record cost easily. Costing system developed around activities of the startup, following a bottom-up approach coupled with the target costing would provide the much-needed basic foundation and structure on which a sustainable costing system may then be developed. CMA professionals play a catalytic role in the nation building in the domains of de-risking economy. by ensuring transparency and efficiency in the corporate sector of the economy, strengthening the execution of the national initiatives such as Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, Swachh Bharat, and smart cities through superior resource allocation and performance tracking. There is also a growing need for the professionals to stand up and voice their concerns whenever required and adopt the best practices and standards of corporate governance. The cost accountants sitting here must be seen as catalysts for the growth of the profession and not as mere regulators. I appreciate the efforts of the Institute in creating awareness on the implementation of the GST IBC once again, because that has helped the government in a big way. Currently, we are in the midst of the global slowdown, with the two big economies, US, China, having a trade war. But we should see this as an advantage to India, where we should attract more and more companies to have manufacturing base in India, and that is why the historic corporate tax rate cut has been introduced by the Modi government. Now, your role also is very important to create the right perception, to bring in more investment into India. When I talk about the right perception, it is about the economy and the possibilities available in India, that is one. And the other is, due to the petty politics